Hello, this is Everett Pierce, and it is November the 17th, 2016. And we have about 11 a.m. Arizona time. Now, we are calling this video Presidential Election Polling, or polls, Polls, as we have seen a lot in our election. Now, what is the purpose of polls? It's being used on many different levels. So that's what we're going to discuss, and how polling or reporting polls is technically it's a corruptive tool. But it can also be a corruptive tool. So on the positive side. Now, depending on how it's being used, it's essentially like a tool that a puppet master would have doing this, pulling strings. And of course, the strings would be we the people. Now, giving examples of things that has happened in the past will shed light into this part one of polls, an election polls, and how this relates to just human behavior as far as that goes. Now, when you look at like sports, for example, you're down to the last 2 minutes. Okay. And say it's a fairly close sports. Maybe it's within three points of each other. So everyone, the fans, are on the edge of their seat. Oh my God, who's going to win? Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Who's going to win? And you're so up on your edge. That it's exciting. It's hard to be bored or fall asleep in this state of energy. So in reference to what we see in sports. Now, if you were listening on the radio and it says, well, let's see, Pittsburgh Steelers is leading, I'll just pick we'll say Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll say Pittsburgh Steelers is leading Tampa Bay by 48-2. And you know what most people would do? Especially if they said, well, 48-2 and there's 2 minutes left in the game. Would you get people sitting on the edge of the seat and say, oh my God, who's going to win? No. You say, God, Tampa Bay, you suck. And then they shut the radio off. Because there's 2 minutes in the game and you just use your logic saying, well, in the history of football, no one has come back that many points to win. Now, what if that person that reported on the radio were deliberately given wrong information? As far as he knows, that was the real score. He's relying on someone else to give him reliable information so he can report it to his audience. So not only does it make him look like an idiot, but it points back who was the one that gave him the information. Because you might find out the next day in the paper, Pittsburgh Steelers wins against Tampa Bay at the last minute of kicking a field goal. Okay, so with that being an example, is why would they want you disengaged? Why do they want you to withdraw your energy? Or use it in the method of bringing your energy forward. Oh my God, let's get excited. Ah! These people out there can get pretty crazy. I mean, it's actually kind of fun. But, so when you look at the polling aspect of this, it's not just evil itself. It's actually a very versatile tool, depending on how it's being used, can bring about results. Now, with the politicians, they have learned with polling that they discovered it is a puppeteer type tool. Okay, so if you got a campaign and let's just say you're Hillary and you got $2 billion at your disposal, you can put that money in so many different areas. Okay. So, say for example, you know that you have to win Iowa. You just have to win Iowa. Okay, because Iowans, I'm an Iowan, they're very intelligent people that come off as if they're stupid, but really, in actuality, when the dust settles, they're not stupid people. And okay, so what do you say? Hillary needs to win Iowa. Okay, persuasion. That's what one of the key elements of polling is, persuasion. Okay, so we'll say Hillary now spends her money and buys these apartments and homes, empty homes in Iowa, puts in a phone. And then, of course, when they call that area to do polling, there's someone there who answers, "Oh, yes. Oh, who are you voting for?" "I'm voting for Hillary." So, and being that there's only maybe 100 people in that town, and all the homes and apartments that are being occupied there, you might have one home with 100 phones in it, 100 different phone lines, individual phone numbers. And of course, they don't provide that kind of information. It's like, okay, this phone is to this address and to this address. You could have 100. I mean, you think of business out there. You could have a business and they may have 100 phone lines. Okay, so you have 100 phone lines under all these various and different names. So not only can you use dead people to vote, but you can also have dead people who own have a phone register in their name too. So there's many different areas that you could go in. So anyways, so they'll say, well, in the last polls in Iowa, Hillary Clinton's leading Trump by 40%. So people of Iowa hear that and they say, oh, wow, 40%. What do you say? A lot of people from Iowa is Trumpsters, okay, on the Trump train. So now that pisses us off. Okay, so what brings that about, or what comes off from that? Okay, so if you now believe, see, you're awesome until someone else convinces you to believe that you're less than awesome. And then your manifestation comes in, and then you're on a self-fulfilling prophecy to prove it. So, and you will spend so much effort to prove something that is incorrect. So now you say, oh my God, Hillary's up 45%. Why should I even go out and bother to vote? She's going to win Iowa anyways. Okay, that's what they want you to think. Now, if you look back in man's history, we've had in elections where they used it in that particular fashion. They made people, the element of persuasion, they made people believe that this president had it by a landslide. I mean, just like 90% of the people were going to vote for this guy. Okay, so what they were banking on, using the polling, okay, is that people would say, being that voting is an option, I mean, there's a right to vote, and it should go one step further, is that you, not only is it a right to vote, but you are required to vote. Okay, so they're banking on you being so busy and working all the time that you're going to say, well, if he's going to win anyways, then why should I take an hour of my time to go down and stand in line to vote for someone that's going to win anyways? That's how they want you to think. So when you see all this polling, how many tactics, how many ways that a person or party or anyone can change the polling, as we learned in this election, that just blew the media, blew a lot of people away. Like, oh my God, how in the hell did United States, it's like, where did all these Trumpsters go? Because all these tactics, there's been, as Obama has said, we learn from our mistakes, we lick our wounds, meaning that next time they're going to try to be a little more persuasive, more deviant, and blah, 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 blah. All the little tools within the human behavior toolbox. So that's why, there's a difference between in terms of polling. Okay. One is projected. Well, how is it being projected? Are you calling a state where it's 90% Democrats? Who are you polling? Where are you polling it? Do you have, if they can set up campaign offices in an area, they can also set up an alias apartment or home with a phone number to have an effect. I mean, when you got that kind of money, billions of dollars to throw around, you can also, under an alias name, do the polling, especially if they know that people are easily influenced by the numbers, information. Well, the polling itself is an element of being informed. Okay, so being informed. So if they're going to pass a law that now marijuana it can be used recreationally, it's not against the law, they have to use many forms of informing people. So that's essentially what polling is to inform people. Well, and so I was bouncing around from television to station and news media, and everyone had a different percentage of polls. And like Donald Trump was saying, it was like, I get on this one station because I'm trying to put my mindset in other people, other evolutions. And then I get on one, I'll be like, I'll be so excited. Oh my God, Trump is winning. Oh my God, yeah. And then the other one, I turn on a different news channel and it's like, God, man. Then you get that scared feeling, and you're like, oh my God, is Trump going to win this? Oh my God. And then you find yourself going, I mean, you're just being like a puppeteer. Your emotions are just being tweaked and pulled. Well, so on the positive side, if you're doing the polling in a way that you keep people engaged, well, that's the lesser of the evil when it comes to voting, is that you want people engaged, you want people to be informed, you want people to pay attention. But if people are laying back, well, my vote don't count, or why should I vote for him when he's going to win anyways? Why should I waste my time? Why should I take money out of my pocket to skip work or get out of work so I can vote when I could have made $20? And as it sits right now, I'm already behind on my credit card payments or my mortgage payment. So there are a lot of things in play here. So that's why, depending on how the media is projecting certain things, it gives you an indication as to, if people are busy all the time and they only have 1 minute to turn on that television to get as much information as possible, to read between the lines, they have to rely on the information that television news media is providing them. Or as they're driving to work and they listen to the radio. This is all forms of media. And then they get to work and then JoJo says, Did you hear Hillary? Hillary's up 45% in Iowa. And then, of course, you didn't hear the news media. And you say, 45%? Jesus, Joe. So now you get hearsay. Well, as you know, in the court system, hearsay means the word, unprovable science, evidence. And that's the reason why it's not admitted into a court, hearsay, because it's not provable. If the judge heard you say that statement, that would not be heard hearsay. He could be a witness to say, I'm the judge of the court, and actually I overheard him talking to Marianne that this. Okay. Because we hold a judge of a higher authority. Or if it was a father of a church that supposedly you're not supposed to lie. They're not supposed to deceive people. Okay. So the tool of polling is, I was paying attention to that because they were putting a lot of emphasis on polling. And then, even on election day, I mean, I like the method in which they used, but if you didn't flip back and forth to all the channels, but I did it just for the experience of it, so I can explain it, so I can teach it. I already know it, you know. In fact, we could take it to a whole new level of heights, you know, that if anything, we want to tickle the brain, the cognitive thinking of things, allowing you to be able to identify the false and the truth, read between the lines of things, and be able to get to the root of the real issue or truth. And that's why a lot of the media, they use an element or a tool called discombobulation. There's so much of it, just like insurance companies. They all seem to save you money, 15% on your insurance. But when you call each and every one with the same exact policy, you have different prices for each policy. So how is it that they come up with, they save you 15%? So that's the thing is they want you to guess. They want to put discombobulation in there. Because if all the discombobulation was taken away and everyone says, well, you know, Geico is the best insurance, pound for pound, they're going to give you a better deal. So, but if you have to guess, then you increase the probability of getting an insurance company where you would ordinarily wouldn't even attempt to get insurance with them. That maybe they have poor customer service, or when it comes time to paying for damages, they will find more ways to get out of it. You know, so there's multiple things. So in terms of polling, and how they put it, and we're utilizing it with the media, and especially on election day, because I flip over, I go from CNN to Fox News and then MSNBC. And as I just kept feeling myself, one, I was like, man, oh my God, that's not fair. Another one is like, yeah, boy, that Trump's going to smoke it tonight. Another one, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. Oh my God, is it Hillary? Is it Trump? Is it Hillary? Is it Trump? So, and it was quite, that itself was kind of entertaining. You know, it makes it excitement, okay? Because a lot of people, especially people of intelligence, or just people in general, we have a tendency to get bored real easy. And that's why you'll see a lot of people get more involved when you hear the chaos of things versus saying everything is prim and proper, and you're having a debate where everything is all the good words and being proper etiquette and not interfering, jumping in on their conversation or overriding each other. People love that. You know, it's like, yeah, get her, Trump, get her. But so on the election, you know, I'm flipping back and forth. But see, I already knew. That's the, you know, advantage that I had. I already knew Trump was going to win because there was things that I already knew about this election, about Trump and about Hillary. So that part was, you could say, but I still had to experience it. I had to get into mind and emotions that other voters out there and other people watching this election is going to get into. And my emotions just went like this, depending on what channel I was watching. 1 minute I was angry. There's no way Trump can be down 2%. Hell no. And then the other one is like, yeah, go Trump, go Trump. And it was the same way with Hillary. So the way they do the polling is like, what, Hillary's down 2%? Yeah, man. Another one is that, then the other one, the poll says she's up 45%. And they say, well, with a 3% marginal. What they don't also factor in this polling, like it was just an example, where you have all these apartments being occupied, and there's no one living in it other than there's a phone going to that residence, and it just, and then and then of that resident is a Democrat or a Republican. And believe me, this tactic has been used on both sides of the fence. So Republicans are not innocent of this. I mean, they know enough about human behaviors. And basic is, if it's used incorrectly, the wrong person like Hitler could deceive you using the very tools in human behaviors against you. So that's why we have a popular vote and we have electoral vote. Basically, electoral vote is basically like a higher level than what the judge would be. They are able to, in a non-biased way, in a energy problem-solving ability, to facilitate, to make sure that we have the right person in our government. So that's why popular vote is contained to the state. And then we have electoral vote. It's a two-step process, just like I have a left and right arm. We have a woman and man who must come together to yield a child. The two-factor. So, and he said, well, Hillary won the popular vote. Shouldn't she be president? Well, what if the KKK, out of the 120 million people that voted, would it say, if 70 million KKK people were part of our population, then KKK would maintain control and power over our government. Okay, so there's a reason. We have to put rationale and protocol, just like we see in the health department. That there's a protocol as to why? Because of human behavior, man's will. And man is, I don't care if he's coming off as a good Samaritan, but man's going to use a various of different tools to manipulate within his environment to accomplish his goals, preferably in the more honorable way. But as we learn in society, is sometimes we have to do something that's considered negative to accomplish what we want to gain. Not that I encourage that, but that's a fact of life. That's a fact of society. That's a fact of no matter what nation you're in. But what's most important is when the dust settles, you have the best interests of yourself as well as other people. It's just those individuals, when the dust settles, you only have the best interests of yourself, and they have a mindset of, pardon my French, but fuck you. Okay, that type of pursuit of things, mentality of things, will only put people on the fastest track to extinction. And that's our true enemy, extinction. If you life, what's opposite of life? Death. No. You say, well, you would think it's death. Okay. So if you have forever life, then you have forever death, right? Okay. So forever death would be extinction. That means you're in a position that you cannot procreate. And that's what we see in exhibits in museums of T-Rex or the raptor. They are extinctionist. Means when the dust settles, all they have accomplished, provable science and facts that we can prove, is that they are extinctionist. So, if we can't figure out things to get along and work together like a functional engine, and we end up being a exhibit next to T-Rex, it doesn't matter how big of a wall you made or what kind of money you had and how fast you ran the Olympics. What people are going to see when they see your bones is that you're a professional extinctionist. Now, that might sound funny, but it is true. So that's why we explain certain things, to be informed. And I want you, if you have some of this election recorded, or if you want to roll back the tapes of how, and especially you have to use it with multiple news media. And that's also used as a tactic too. Because they kind of spread it without. Okay, like say for example, where you got Canon and you got Nikon. And they got together and say, wait a minute, we can't put the same feature in each of our camera. And then we could be destroying each other. One will be successful and the other one will just die out. No one will buy your camera. So we'll say, this is a good feature, so we'll put that in yours. And we'll say, it's because your camera is good with low lighting. And then we'll put in your camera that your camera is best at real bright lights outside. And now, as a photographer, I have to go out and buy both Canon and Nikon if I want the best of both worlds. So, when it comes to CNN or Fox News or MSNBC, is depending on your views and what you're trying, that you essentially you want to be entertained. It's more entertainment than it is information. So, and the media, I can't totally put blame on the media. Is they're in many respects they're giving people what they want, okay, and they get in pursuits of ratings. When they get the ratings up, they can charge more for advertisements and everything because they got millions and millions of people watching them. And it's more like billions of people. We got over 7 billion people now from when I looked on the census. So last time I checked, which I don't remember when it was, but it was under 7 billion people. So the polling aspect is a puppeteer device. Okay, and depending on the hands in which it's in and the type of intelligence that is being utilized, if you don't know how to utilize it correctly, it can also be your undoing, just like the symbolism of the sword. One side will be your salvation. The other side will come, if it's misused, it will come by and cut your head off. Energy has that characteristic, heat. You wouldn't ordinarily think heat is something that would destroy you. But the heat from the sun, if you got too close to the sun, would kill you. It'd incinerate you. So that's one of the things we learn in terms of these tools. And man is still developing his sense of self and sense of control, sense of intelligence. There's a difference between smart and being intelligent. Someone who's smart is the person who has a skill set of memorization. Okay, well, animals do that all the time in terms of self-preservation. But intelligence is beyond just memorization. A person of intelligence uses his creative and objective mind to get this knowledge. And this person who's smart, if he runs out of knowledge, then his smartness stops. But someone of intelligence is a free-for-all. When he keeps applying his objective and creative mind, he will get into more and more of discoveries of energy, as you will learn about polling. So with that, we'll end it right here for this part 1 of presidential election polling and how it's being used to move the emotions, to move your thoughts, to direct you like sheep herders. Essentially, it's being used to sheep herder, to move you in direction. So if you're easily convinced without facts and reasoning, you will side in the direction that you feel. Well, when we engage our emotions and not our logic, like we see in Star Trek, Spock is the logic and Captain Kirk is the emotion. As we know that we have to use them together in a logic and a constructive fashion that moves us forward in evolution versus having to go way back 4 billion years and start evolution all over again. So with that, we'll end it right there. This is Everett Pierce with Einstein 314 on this 17th day of November 2016.